You're listening to Kilmar Abrego Garcia's lawyers describe severe beatings in El Salvador prison, a news story written by Steve Thompson and read by an AI-generated voice. In a rare account of the notorious prison in El Salvador where the Trump administration deported 261 Venezuelan and Salvadoran migrants in March, Kilmar Abrego Garcia's lawyers said in a court filing Wednesday that he and the others were severely beaten and forced to kneel for 9 straight hours upon their arrival. The world saw some of that arrival in a tightly edited video posted on social media by Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele, which began with drone footage of 3 planes on the tarmac, surrounded by rows of soldiers and police in riot gear, and went on to show the migrants emerging one by one, heads pushed down in a frog march, wrists and ankles shackled. But Wednesday's court filing, in the civil case brought by Abrego and his family against Trump administration officials in Maryland's U.S. District Court, for the first time contains his account of what happened in the hours and days that followed. Abrego was kicked in the legs and struck with wooden batons inside El Salvador's terrorism confinement center, known as CICUT, lawyers said in the filing. They said he was held in a crowded, windowless cell that was brightly lit around the clock while guards, who had determined that he wasn't a hardened gang member, threatened to put him in with real gang members who would tear him apart, the filing said. Plaintiff Abrego Garcia reports that he was subjected to severe mistreatment upon arrival at CICUT, including but not limited to severe beatings, severe sleep deprivation, inadequate nutrition, and psychological torture, the court filing says. White House and Justice Department spokespeople did not immediately respond to requests for comment Wednesday. Damian Merlo, a lobbyist for Bukele in the United States who speaks for the Salvadoran president's administration, disputed the filing's assertions. None of those accusations are substantiated by facts or truth. Amazing they make such claims, Merlo said in a text message. Abrego, who entered the U.S. illegally as a teenager after fleeing gang members in El Salvador, is now being held in a Tennessee prison after being returned from El Salvador early last month to face federal human smuggling charges, part of the winding legal drama triggered by his mistaken deportation that has highlighted the Trump administration's aggressive campaign to deport millions of people who arrived to the country without authorization. Before his legal battle began, Abrego's name was the first called to disembark the plane in El Salvador after the Trump administration sent him there in violation of a 2019 immigration judge's order barring his deportation to that country, the filing by Abrego's legal team says. As he exited the plane that arrived from Texas, bound by chains, 2 men in dark uniforms grabbed him and shoved him downward along the stairs, the court filing says. The detainees exited under bright lights as cameras filmed their arrival. Abrego was pushed toward a bus and into a seat, then fitted with a second set of chains and handcuffs. He was repeatedly struck by officers when he attempted to raise his head, according to the filing's account. After the bus ride, they arrived at the prison that was built to hold El Salvador's worst gang members, which human rights groups have said is one of the most opaque in the world. They were soon greeted by a prison official who told them, "Welcome to CICUT. Whoever enters here doesn't leave," according to the filing. The Trump administration paid Bukele's government approximately $6 million for detaining alleged gang members there, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in March. The arrangement may apply only to the Venezuelan migrants taken there. Justice Department lawyers have since said Abrego and the other Salvadorans were not part of that agreement. At the prison, Abrego was forced to strip, issued prison clothing, and then kicked in the legs with boots and hit in the head and arms to spur him to change faster, the filing says. His head was shaved with a zero razor, and he was frog-marched to cell 15, being struck with wooden batons along the way. By the following day, plaintiff Abrego Garcia had visible bruises and lumps all over his body. Once in cell 15, Abrego and 20 other Salvadorans were forced to kneel from about 9 p.m. to about 6 a.m., with guards striking anyone who fell from exhaustion, the filing says. During this time, plaintiff Abrego Garcia was denied bathroom access and soiled himself. The detainees were confined to metal bunks with no mattresses in an overcrowded cell with no windows, bright lights that remained on 24 hours a day, and minimal access to sanitation. After about a week, the filing says, CICUT officials separated Abrego and the other Salvadorans. 12 had gang-related tattoos and were moved to another cell. Abrego, whose lawyers have denied he is a member of any gang, remained with 8 others who, like him, had no gang tattoos or affiliations, the filing says. As reflected by his segregation, the Salvadoran authorities recognized that plaintiff Abrego Garcia was not affiliated with any gang, and, at around this time, prison officials explicitly acknowledged that plaintiff Abrego Garcia's tattoos were not gang-related, telling him your tattoos are fine. In the days to come, prison officials repeatedly told Abrego that they would transfer him to cells containing real gang members who would cause him severe harm, the filing says. Indeed, Plaintiff Abrego Garcia repeatedly observed prisoners in nearby cells who he understood to be gang members violently harm each other with no intervention from guards or personnel. Screams from nearby cells would similarly ring out throughout the night without any response from prison guards. According to the filing, Abrego's physical condition deteriorated significantly, and he dropped from 215 to 184 pounds. On April 9th, nearly a month after arriving, Abrego and 4 others were transferred to a different part of Secot, where they were photographed with mattresses and better food. Photos that appeared to be staged to document improved conditions, the filing says. The next day, Abrego alone was transferred to the Santa Ana Penitentiary Center, the filing says. The Santa Ana facility is designated for inmates who are not gang members. A week after Abrego's arrival there, the Bukele administration allowed a visit from Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democrat Maryland. In a news conference the next day, Van Hollen said that Bukele's staff had placed glasses at the table they sat at, and had made the glass in front of Abrego less full, so it appeared as if he had drunk from it. Bukele shared photos of the meeting on social media and mocked the senator's visit, telling followers that Van Hollen and Abrego were drinking margaritas in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. Merlo, the Bukele administration lobbyist, echoed the Salvadoran president's sarcastic tone on Wednesday. "I'd say he also had margaritas in a 5-star hotel with a U.S. senator," he said in a text message. Merlo also said that Abrego had seemed in good spirits and gained 20 pounds with inadequate nutrition in prison, didn't have any bruises, and had his own cell, with TV, and 1 fast food meal per day, also plenty of sun and activities. Noah Bullock, executive director of the leading human rights group Cristasol, said there have been interviews with people held in Secot, but Abrego is the first person who has been freed and given his testimony about the conditions inside. Last month, Abrego was returned to the United States to face the charges of human smuggling, which are related to a 2022 traffic stop in Tennessee, during which Highway Patrol troopers suspected him of transporting undocumented immigrants for money. After a detention hearing in that case in Tennessee last month, U.S. Magistrate Judge Barbara D. Holmes delivered what amounted to a rebuke of the Trump administration's assertions that he is a dangerous criminal by ruling he must be released pending trial. Holmes was left unconvinced by Justice Department allegations that he has gang ties. The government's evidence that Abrego is a member of MS-13 consists of general statements, all double hearsay, from 2 cooperating witnesses, Holmes wrote. Federal officials have said that Abrego will be transferred to immigration custody pending trial, and that at some point they will deport him back to El Salvador or to some other country. Among the measures sought by Abrego's lawyers is a court order preventing his removal again from the U.S. without written notice of such plans and a reasonable period of time for him to file an application for relief under, among other legalities, the Convention Against Torture. Samantha Schmidt contributed to this report.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have another report, this time from Kilmar, who filed as well for this exact same subject. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, this article is by the Raw Story. Let's get into it.
Barbaric torture detailed by wrongly deported migrant, forced to kneel all night. The Maryland father wrongly deported to a brutal Salvadoran prison due to a clerical error has filed an amended complaint detailing the torture he endured in the prison. Lawfare's Anna Bauer posted screen captures of the filing Kilmar Abrego Garcia's lawyer submitted on Wednesday, where he alleged torture and mistreatment at Scott Prison. The filing begins with broad descriptions of severe beatings, severe sleep deprivation, inadequate nutrition, and psychological torture. In Cell 15, plaintiff Abrego Garcia and 20 other Salvadorans were forced to kneel from approximately 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., with guards striking anyone who fell from exhaustion, the filing says. During this time, plaintiff Abrego Garcia was denied bathroom access and soiled himself. Among the allegations of psychological torture was prison officials repeatedly telling plaintiff Abrego Garcia that they would transfer him to the cells containing gang members who, they assured him, would tear him apart. It goes on to say that Garcia would overhear prisoners in nearby cells who he understood to be gang members violently harm each other with no intervention. This happened numerous times, he said. Screams from nearby cells would similarly ring out throughout the night without any response from prison guards. The filing continues. A Justice Department prosecutor confessed to a Maryland court judge that Garcia was not supposed to be sent to Scott. It prompted questions from a judge as to why he couldn't simply be returned to the United States. The prosecutor said that he's never been able to get a straight answer to that question. He was fired shortly after. The case ultimately went to the U.S. District Court, which agreed that the government must facilitate and effectuate the return of Abrego Garcia to the United States by no later than 11:59 p.m. on Monday, April 7th. The administration appealed the decision, but the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the lower court's ruling. Read the new filing here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge hell of a shit show and a mess, all because of the Trump administration illegally, unconstitutionally, unlawfully, and wrongfully violating the law and deporting him, Mr. Abrego Garcia, as you can see in the picture right here, to which, by the way, allegations are true of the Trump administration. They are completely false of Mr. Abrego Garcia. He's not a gang member. Those photos and crap that Trump was seen handing to, I believe one of the ABC, anchors that interviewed him, was completely photoshopped and not accurate or real. Mr. Abrego Garcia is completely innocent. Filings from his lawyers, as well as him and his attorneys, and his family members, are true. I highly doubt that Judge Cini, Xinis, is going to allow Kilmar Abrego Garcia to be returned back to Bukele's prison, which, by the way, should be dismantled and destroyed immediately because of this fact. It is completely illegal for him to be running these types of prisons, especially in El Salvador. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this legal breaking reporting and video analysis update. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting video analysis update, please, firstly, like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Secondly, if you would like to make sure you're always up to date on all the things legal breaking, reporting wise on the side of politics, please hit the bell icon as well as the all notifications option. The bell icon is located directly beneath the screen here on the right hand side of the subscribe button. It's completely free of charge. It does not cost anything. No, there's no money linked behind it. It's completely free of charge. Fourthly, ladies and gentlemen, please help me reach and achieve the goal of 200 plus subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why I'm saying 200 plus subscribers is because right after we reach and achieve the goal of 200 subscribers, we have more subscribers to reach and achieve. Right after we reach and achieve the goal of 200 subscribers. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, please stay safe. And always look for the points of light in today's unfortunate, illegal-induced darkness caused by the illegal, unconstitutional Trump administration and Trump regime. Even though it's not necessarily an administration, because an administration would not continuously violate the law unconstitutionally. This, ladies and gentlemen, is not covered under this BS immunity that the Supreme Court illegally, unconstitutionally created. It is illegally and unconstitutionally created because it does not specify nor mention that immunity is created in the Constitution, nor it exists. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay safe. Please stay tuned for more legal breaking analysis updates on side of politics. And I look forward to talking to you guys in my next legal breaking reporting video analysis update.